This Shavasana practice is a body scan that we can use for relaxation as well as for awareness of energy and sensation in the body. Start by getting yourself comfortably settled in Shavasana, lying on your back. If you're on the floor, not to make it too hard of a surface. See if you have a little bit of something under your head at least so that you're supported. If there's a chance that you might be cold, then have a light blanket or something covering you so that you can be comfortable. And then become aware of your whole body from head to toes. And be aware of the space that your body is occupying and of the environment around your body. Even with the eyes closed, we're always aware of this system. Our body, our sense perceptions allow us to experience what is around us. If we're lying on a soft surface, we'll notice that. If we're lying on a harder surface, or if we're sitting on a chair, the sense perceptions would be different. We also have a visual component of our experience. Even with the eyes closed, we can visualize where it is that we're located, what's going on in the room around us. We might have an image of our body, however it is. If we're lying on the back with the arms a bit out to the side, the feet a little bit apart, we might have a visual image of the body like a picture, or we might have it like a black object in white space or a white object in black space. That's just one of the ways that we understand, without even our eyes being open, how it is that we're situated in space. And then if we pay attention to the space that the body is in, and the space really close by the body, like a couple of inches above the face, or a couple of inches below the soles of your feet, then we notice that we have that awareness of the space as well. We might have a sensory perception. If the air feels cold on our skin, we might know that the temperature in the room is kind of cool. Or if we're sweating because of heat, we would know that the body has this miraculous system of knowing all about where we are and what our situation is. So just as we begin noticing that environment, notice the space your body is in and the space all around your body. The space directly above your body. If you're lying on the floor, notice the space maybe 3, 4, 6 inches above your body. We're going to start at the head and go down through to the toes, and really just focus on that space just above your body. When we start at the head, there's a space just above the forehead, the muscles of the forehead, the eyebrows. As we come down to the eyes and then to the nose, this is where we're interacting with the space above the body. The air just above the face is being drawn into the body through the nose. The lungs warm the air and then return it to the space just above the face. Most likely we're noticing that to be kind of neutral aside from temperature. But if the space just above the nose and around the face had some kind of an aroma in it, then that would be part of your perception. If you're lying under a rose bush, for instance, inhaling the scent of the roses, and then the mind would interpret that, enjoy it or not. But for most of us, the air just above the face that's occupying that space just above the face would be fairly neutral, except for the temperature, cooler on the inhale and then warmer on the exhale. And then bring your attention down to the space above the lips and the jaw, above the throat. And the space above the chest. And as you're breathing, notice that your body is moving into the space and out of the space. So the space just above your chest isn't a static, my body's in this space and then here's the empty space. The body is actually moving with the breath. So notice that movement. And notice when you focus your attention on that space just above the chest, if you can notice any difference in the space itself. There's movement in the space. Is the space affected by that movement? Is the space itself any different when your chest is in the space or when your chest drops below the space? And then move your attention down into your stomach area and notice the same. The body moves into and out of that space. Notice how you notice the body. There's the sensation of expansion as you breathe in. The muscles of the stomach area lengthen. There might be a feeling of pressure in the clothes as you breathe in. And there's always that feeling of release and settling back towards the spine as you breathe out. So noticing the space directly above the stomach. Notice the pattern and rhythm of the movement in the body. And then bring your attention now down into the legs. Noticing the space just above the thighs. Now the experience is more static. The legs are not moving with the breath. Above the knees, above the shins. And then noticing how the feet come up into the space. Top of the feet, the toes, the tips of the toes. And then back down, the soles of the feet and the space underneath the feet. And then once again, include in your awareness the space above your body from head to toes. And then bring your awareness down into the center of your body. Beginning with the head, the crown of the head, the crown chakra, the top of your head, the top of the scalp. And then coming into the space between the forehead and the back of the skull, the space where we tend to generate thought. Notice the environment in that space. If you were to bring your attention back into the space above your forehead, notice if the space itself is any different a few inches above your forehead than it is a few inches behind your forehead. There's different content in the space. And content always changes. Sometimes the content of the mind, the space just behind the forehead, will be very calm and still. Other times there might be pain. There might be a lot of thought or some kind of energy. We know from experience that content isn't static, it always changes. So noticing that. Bring your attention down a little bit behind your eyes. Noticing the experience there. When you pay attention, put your attention onto that space behind the eyes. Down into that space behind the nostrils. Noticing how you can still feel the temperature difference in the air as you breathe in. Comes in through the nostrils and then down through the back of the throat. But right behind the nostrils, there's that feeling of airflow. And down into the mouth, the point halfway between the lips and the back of the head, behind the mouth, the hinges of the jaw. Notice the mouth is moist. There might be some movement in the mouth from the tongue or swallowing. If we put our attention there, we might notice that there's muscle memory of the tongue as it moves when we're talking. But right now the tongue is at rest. The mouth can be still. Noticing that environment in the mouth. Noticing a little bit the space above the mouth as well as that space in the middle of the body, the area of the mouth. And then coming down into the throat, the very center between the muscles of the throat at the front and the muscles of the neck at the back, between the two sides of the neck. Putting your attention right there in the neck. Noticing any energy or sensation. Notice the breath. Can you still feel the breath as it comes in through the neck? Down into the lungs. And coming down into the chest and the lungs, the heart, putting your attention into that area midway between the top of the chest, the rib cage at the front, the rib cage at the back, the floor. Keeping a little bit of notice or attention on the space above the chest. Most of the attention on that space in the inner chest, the part of our bodies protected by the rib cage. Notice if the movement that you could feel on the top of the chest is noticeable in the inside of the chest as well. Notice if there's any sensation in the lungs and the heart themselves. And then bringing your attention down a little bit into the stomach area, just below the diaphragm and above the navel center. Notice if there's any sensation there. When we pay attention in this part of the body, we're also going to be noticing the movement of the body with the breath and how the body moves into the space above it. And then on the exhale, it settles back towards the spine. Noticing that content always changes. The sensation that's in the body right now might be really attracting our attention. Other times it won't be, or it isn't even there maybe. And then coming down a little bit further into the navel center and into the lower belly. Notice the breathing as it moves the body, and also notice the very center between the front and the back of the body. What's your experience like when you focus your attention there? What sensations can you feel? Sometimes we feel our digestive system working. Sometimes there's an energetic component that doesn't seem directly related to the digestion. Sometimes not. Like any content, it always shifts and changes. And then from the lower belly coming into the thighs, into the bones, large bones of the upper legs. Noticing there's muscle above and below. Coming down into the knee joints. Into the bones of the lower legs. And down into the feet. Notice the different sensation we have when we're paying attention to bones. And that kind of subtle feeling of energy we sometimes get in our legs. And how much our attention is drawn to the muscles and other components of the legs. And then expand your awareness now again to include the whole of your body, this midline of the body from the center of the top of the body, the skin on the face, the movement of the chest muscles and stomach muscles as you breathe, the front of the legs, top of the legs, tips of the toes, down and from there to that midpoint between the top of the body and the bottom of the body. the parts that are resting on the floor. So include that awareness of your whole body from head to toes in that mid-center line. Some of your experience in that mid area might already have changed and shifted. It's very common for content to move and come and go. Sometimes it stays. Sometimes we enjoy that, sometimes not. And then notice again the space above your body from head to toes. And then let your awareness sink back in a little bit lower into the midline area of your body again. Keeping the space above in your awareness as well as that mid area. And then like a softly dropping feather or a soft blanket, let your awareness flow down into the back of your body now and settle onto the area that's being supported by the floor. We start at the head, that would be the back of the skull, the scalp at the back. Noticing the space directly behind your head as well, underneath your head. Whatever it is that's supporting your head, if it's a floor or a cushion. Notice how there's empty space that's now filled with a cushion or the floor. And below that, there's probably some more empty space or maybe the ground. As you come along through the back of the neck, there's a bit of air, or perhaps a pillow, and then there's the ground underneath that, but we don't have direct contact with the back of the neck the way we do with the skull. And then noticing any energy or sensation in the back of the head or the back of the neck. That's part of how we stay in touch with what's going on back there. If we were warm and we had pressed a cold, icy cloth to the back of the neck, we'd have that sensation of coolness. Maybe we put some heat on the back of the neck and the shoulders to help us relax tight muscles, and we would have that sensation. So even just paying attention to those words might be changing our experience in that area of the body a little bit. And coming down into the large muscles of the top of the back, shoulder blades, the back of the ribs. And notice the space a few inches under the body as well. There's the muscles, that feeling of connection on the floor. Let yourself really settle back into that experience of being supported so you don't have to use your muscles. Notice the whole tone of the space behind and underneath your body, if it feels neutral, if it feels safe. Notice what your experience is in the back of your body. And again, notice how you're noticing that. Is there images? Are there thoughts? Let go of the images and thoughts. Let them be there, but not really focus on them. Right now, really focusing on that space behind the back. From the neck through those large muscles of the upper back. That bit of space as the spine curves, as we bring our attention down into the lower back. And down into the hips. Once again, a feeling of pressure as we connect with the floor. Notice how supported we are by the floor, by the environment. We can completely relax the body in this pose. It's a bit more subtle in the back of the body, but notice how the body moves with the breath. The empty space under the lower back, or perhaps the connection of the lower ribs on the floor, changes a little bit as we breathe out. Everything settles a little bit down towards the floor. What was empty space now has a bit more of the body in it. Notice your breathing for a moment. Even take a few larger breaths and notice how that's experienced when you're paying attention to the back of your body. Notice the space a few inches below that. Notice how the mind interprets the difference between the space that your body's in, an empty space, the space the floor is occupying. That space that the floor is occupying doesn't change very much. When the building was built, that space became occupied by the wood and the floor. There's a bit of a change when someone's walking on it, perhaps. Just tune into that space behind your back, below your back. And notice how we experience that space. And then coming down through the large muscles of the buttocks to the large muscles at the back of the thighs. And the space below the back of the legs. The empty space behind the knees. And the feeling of connection on the floor with the calves. The space under the ankles, the connection of the heels. And then once again, be aware of your whole entire body from head to toes. Notice the sensation all along the back of your body, back of the head, shoulders, hips, back of the legs, heels. And notice the space directly under your body, a few inches, 3 or 4 inches. And then pay attention to the space on the mid-level line of your body. Not losing awareness of the space under the body, but now include the space on the inside of your body. And bring your attention up to the surface of the top of your body and the space just above your body. Keeping that awareness of your whole entire body from head to toes. Bring your attention to the top of your head and notice the space above the crown of your head. coming down through the sides of the neck and the shoulders. Notice the space out to the side of your body, the sides of your arms, sides of your legs. Bringing your attention to the soles of your feet and noticing the space past the soles of the feet, the space coming out along the floor, past your feet. And then once again, this integrated awareness of the whole space surrounding your body and the space that your body is occupying as well. Notice the space itself. Some of this space will have air, some will have body, some will have floor. Notice the actual space itself. Put your attention on that for a moment. And then bring your attention back to your physical body, noticing once again the sensations, the sensory input that lets us know what's going on in our body. Notice the breath as it flows through the nose. Notice the breath as it moves in the abdomen. Wiggle your fingers. Notice how that feels. It brings sensation into the body. Wiggle your toes. And then take your time, turn over onto your left side for a moment. Support your head with your arm, bend your knees. As you're moving into that new position, notice the space all around your body and the space your body is occupying. And when you're ready, come up into a sitting position and open your eyes.